annual Rock Day Memorial Celebration. My name's Jeff Dye. I'm one of the associate principals here at Fort Atkinson High School. It's my great honor to stand here and help recognize Fort Atkinson High School's past, current, and future members of the military and the commitments that they've made to our country. I want to take a minute to thank the people that have been involved in making this day the event that it is. So thank you to Chris Hofer for landscaping work around the rock. Thank you to Jared Grunwald and the grounds crew for their work in preparing for today's event. Also, thank you to the students that are seated to my left. Thank you for your service to our country and for making this event possible. At this time, I ask you to please rise and direct your attention to the flag as the senior band members lead us in the national anthem, followed by the class of 2023 President, Jack Shep, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would now like to introduce the class of 2023 Secretary, Alyssa Hagney, to the podium for her to tell us about the distinguished history of Rock Day.
Rock Day began in 1920 with the dedication of a granite rock and maple tree at the old high school. This memorial honored 10 Fort Atkinson students who bravely gave their lives for our country in the First World War. The rock has served for 103 years as a symbol of the stability, perseverance, and strength exhibited by these individuals, and will continue to remind future generations of that very thing. The fact that the rock is positioned at the base of the flagpole with our country's flag flying above it expresses the wish that all future students as American citizens remember their sacrifice and exhibit these traits as well. The original tree and flagpole dedicated to Captain George Daly, who died in the Vietnam War, still stands at the middle school. Though most of us no longer see it every day, the inscription on the plaque reminds us all of their sacrifice. The inscription reads, "This tree is dedicated to our soldiers and sailors who died in the World War. They died so that freedom might not perish from the earth." The names of the soldiers are Edwin Baldwin, Guy Black, Werner Bocher, Wilbur Converse, Paul Flooring, Edwin Fromater, Henry Heese, Warren Longley, Walter Richards, Arthur Sarr. Bequeathed in perpetuity to the members of each senior class of the high school who will preserve and care for it and thus keep green its branches in memory of these true sons of the Republic who nurtured the tree of liberty with their blood. The W.D. Horde Company provided the plate on the rock, which was set by the Nice Company of Jefferson. Bob Brewer, the town's street commissioner in 1920, provided the rock himself. The fence around the rock is in memory of Terrence Beck, and the original flag flown above the memorial was given in memory of Gary Smith, both of whom died in Vietnam. Several plantings around the school grounds honor the lives of other Fort Atkinson students. This memorial not only serves to honor those who have died in service, but also to inspire those currently serving for our country. They truly exemplify the stability, perseverance, and strength displayed by those original 10 students as they continue the perpetual struggle for peace and freedom. For their dedication, I am deeply grateful. I ask now that we bow our heads in a moment of silence to remember all those who have lost their lives and those currently in the line of duty. Thank you. We will now listen to the members of the Blackhawk Music Department perform America, arranged by Mary McDonald and conducted by Mr. Justin Stager.
thank our distinguished guests for joining us today. In attendance today, we have veterans of the armed forces representing organizations and currently enlisted members of the armed forces. Please join me with a round of applause thanking them for their service and sacrifices. At this time, I will introduce our military veterans and the current servicemen that will escort them to the rock to place their wreath. Representing the American Legion Post 166, Joel Osmundson, escorted by Sergeant Jack Wohlers. Representing the American Legion Auxiliary 166, Betty Schlev, escorted by Sergeant First Class Jonathan Solis. Representing the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 1879, Bill Insland, escorted by Sergeant Jack Wright. Representing the Veterans of Foreign Wars Auxiliary Post 1879, Sue Gisler, escorted by Lance Corporal Dorian Burhans. Representing the Daughters of the American Revolution, Nancy Olson, escorted by Private First Class Eliana Rios. Representing the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 409, Steve Swader, and representing the Vietnam Veterans Associate Member, Karen Swader, escorted by Staff Sergeant Saldana. Representing the disabled American veterans, Daniel Judy, Jamil Khan, and Roger Johnson, escorted by Sergeant Jack Wright. Honored guests, thank you for joining us today. Please join me in a round of applause to acknowledge their hard work, dedication, and commitment to our country. I'd also like to recognize our Fort Atkinson High School staff that have served our country in the military. Thank you, Mr. Patrick Hatlin, Mr. Dennis Shadesky, and Mr. John Brown. Today, we also have the pleasure of having Representative Scott Johnson and State Senator Stephen Noss in attendance today. We're also honored to have the Governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, with us this morning. Lastly, I would like to have all future recruits, current servicemen, and former veterans stand as we all give you the well-deserved round of applause for your service to our country. At this time, I would like to invite the senior class president, Jack Shep, to come forward and present the Rock Day recognition address.
As the 2023 class president, it is my privilege to be able to continue to the respect, tradition, and honor that Rock Day holds here at Fort Atkinson High School, which has been held for over 100 years. For one day every year, Fort Atkinson High School and the surrounding community have gathered together to honor those who have served and defended our great nation in the past, but also those who will commit to serve and defend us in the future. Today we sit with some of the brave men and women who have made such a personal sacrifice to serve this country with strength and perseverance. We also sit among classmates, friends, and siblings who have made the commitment to follow in their footsteps. Thank you for your service. By serving a greater purpose than yourself, you show all of us what it means to be brave, to overcome, to fight on behalf of those who cannot. You truly exemplified the best qualities of Fort Atkinson: strength, perseverance, and stability. Thank you. Today is also an important day to recognize those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in giving their lives for our freedom. May the memorial not only serve as remembrance for those who have died in service, but also as an inspiration for those who are currently serving our country. As they exemplified the same qualities of strength, perseverance, we remember these student sacrifices. We also choose perseverance to overcome, to be light in the darkness for others. Veterans, current and future service members, we thank you again for your service. I ask that you join me in a round of applause for those who have and will make sacrifices on our behalf to protect our safety and freedoms. Thank you. We will now hear Let the Freedom Ring, composed by Ruth Morrow Gray, performed by members of our high school music department. Following that, our class of 2024 president, Rebecca Christ, will speak.
Sweet land of liberty. class of 2024, it is my honor and privilege to continue the traditions and values Rock Day holds here at Fort Atkinson High School. Servant leadership is defined as a leadership philosophy in which the goal of the leader is to serve. Servant leaders put the needs of others first and help people perform as highly as possible. The history of Rock Day at Fort Atkinson High School is grounded upon the idea of servant leadership, where our own students fought for our country. The 10 students whose names are inscribed in the rock exemplify the courageous, selfless, dedicated, and patriotic qualities a servant leader has. These 10 students and what they fought for are the backbone of our community here in Fort Atkinson, as we follow in their brave footsteps with everything they've given up for our country. Rock Day isn't only about memorializing those who have fought or been lost in war, but also to celebrate those that are choosing this path in their lives. Thank you to the service members of the class of 2023 and 2024. Your commitment and dedication is well respected by myself and our peers. As author Jamie Gilbert once said, greatness isn't for the chosen few. Greatness is for the few who choose. These students have chosen greatness by choosing to enlist, and for that, we thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Yuridia Torres to the podium to recognize the students that are enlisting in the armed forces. Thank you for your time today.
On this Rock Day, not only do we recognize former students of Fort Atkinson High School, but we also must look to the future and appreciate the dedicated students who will constitute our armed forces in the years to come. This year, the class of 2023 is privileged to have several individuals who will be entering the military upon graduation. The 7 students we recognize will carry on the tradition of selfless service to our nation that so many Fort High School graduates have been a part of through years of peace and conflict. As I call your name, I would ask that each student please stand as we recognize your selfless dedication as you commit to protecting our nation's freedom, security, and future. Owen Blackwell. Son of George and Dawn Blackwell, Owen will be entering the Army National Guard. Owen enlisted because he is looking for new experiences, opportunities, and friendships that will last a lifetime. He wanted to do something larger than himself out of love for our great nation. Dane Brost is unable to be here with us today. Dane is the son of Kathy and Kevin Brost and will be entering the Marine Corps. Dane enlisted because he felt a responsibility to serve his country. Elijah Burhans. Son of Tricia and Dan Burhans. Eli will also be entering the Marines. He is following his brother Dorian into the Marines and is looking forward to new experiences and challenges. He is excited to learn new skills, travel the world, and serve our country. Raul Diaz. Son of Sandra Garcia and Raul Diaz Vargas. Raul is entering the Army National Guard. Raul is joining the military to be a part of something bigger than himself. He is looking forward to new experiences and responsibilities, as well as meeting people from all walks of life. Wyatt Lysias. Son of Rebecca Sell and Sam Lysias. Wyatt is joining the Air Force. He felt a special obligation to serve his country and was motivated by his family and older brother, who is also in the Air Force, to enlist. Ryan Messler. Son of Maggie and Mike Messler. Ryan will be entering the Army. Ryan is enlisting because he has always had an interest in the Army. In addition, his family has a long history of military service that he wanted to be a part of. Dania Saucedo Aparicio. Daughter of Aurelio Saucedo and Monica Aparicio. Daniel will be enlisting in the Army. She is grateful for the opportunities that being a member of the Army will offer her and is excited for what lies ahead for her. Jack Shavy. Son of Jamie Canuck and Harvey Shavy. Jack is entering the Army National Guard. Jack chose to enlist because it gave him an opportunity to better himself and be a part of a cause bigger than himself. He is inspired to enlist by his stepbrother, Second Lieutenant Derek Hedrick, and will be a fourth generation of his family to serve in the military. As we are constantly reminded these days, preserving this freedom oftentimes entails hardships and personal sacrifice, but these individuals are willing to step forward and take on the challenges. At this time, join me in acknowledging and thanking Dane, Elijah, Raul, Wyatt, Ryan, and Danya for their future service in the U.S. military. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Class of 2023 Representative Martha Moran to the podium.
In a few moments, you will all hear taps performed by Lorena Ramirez and Ashlyn Wadsworth of Fort Atkinson High School Band. In 1862, this composition gained popularity as the tune that signified the end of the day on both the Union and Confederate side. 12 years later, the United States Army officially recognized this composition. Around the beginning of the American Civil War, Captain John C. Tidball sought to honor a fallen soldier. Due to a nearby enemy encampment, Captain Tidball could not fire the traditional three-volley salute. In light of this, he decided to honor his fallen man with the playing of taps during the burial. Since then, taps has become a customary honor to fallen soldiers all across the United States. In present day, it is the highest honor to be memorialized with a three-volley salute and the playing of taps. I would now like to welcome Citlali Torres to the podium to introduce the placement of flags by our seniors going into service.
46 flags will be placed around the rock, and each senior entering into the armed forces will place an equal amount of flags around the rock. I will read the names of the soldiers from Fort Atkinson who gave their lives for our freedom. Please remain silent as the flags are placed in their honor. 2 flags represent those who died in the Civil War. Thomas Butler and Edmund Skinner. 10 flags represent those who died in World War I. Edmund Baldwin, Guy Black, Werner Butcher, Paul Florin, Edmund Fromeiter, Henry Heese, Warner Longley, Walter Richards, George Sauer, and Fred Steer. Henry Heese, Warren Longley, Walter Richards, George Sauer, Fred Steer. 22 flags represent those who died in World War II. Arthur Benson, Joseph Biot, Howard Buchanan, Victor Drager, Sidney Dye, George Eckhart, Gerald Endel, Ellisworth Evanson, Lester Guess, Garth Godfrey, Robert Grant, Rodney Green, Hubert Brumble, Arthel Hessel, Robert Carnes, Jack Keller, Delmar Kesseling, Gerald Creeklow, Helmer Creeklow, Raymond Lehman, Ruben Limp, Carl Lewis, Four flags represent those who died in the Korean War. Robert Lukey, Douglas Mass, Richard Pignett, Irving Schuett, Terrence Beck, George Daly. Six flags represent those who died in the Vietnam War. Charles Huff, Larry Smith, Gary Smith, Andrew Kirchmeier. Two flags represent one who died in the U.S. States War on Terror, Christopher Starkweather and Jacob Minert. this time, I would like to invite Brian Culver and Sergeant Jack Wars to place the POW and MIA flags in honor of the servicemen and women. We ask for your continued respect and silence. Following the placement of the flag, we will have a rifle salute at the Fort Atkinson American Legion and then the playing of taps.
Thank you all for being here today and for being a part of our annual Rock Day celebration. I'd like to thank our Performing Arts Department for a great performance, as well as our administration for their help organizing the Rock Day event. I would also like to again thank all the veterans, current service members, enlisting seniors, and their families for their continued sacrifices on our behalf. As you embark on this next leg of your journey, remember that you will always have a place here. The strong foundation that these students came from in Fort Atkinson is symbolized both by this rock and the people here today. We support each other and every one of you. Students, you are now dismissed to your third block class. Those with early lunch, you are dismissed for lunch.